व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। भवजीव्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रिलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्नं विरचितपदाम्बुजं वेदान्ताम्बुजसूर्योऽर्य तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्यशाश्वतशान्तो व्योमातीतो निरञ्जनः बिन्दुनादकलातीता तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढा तत्त्वमाला विभूषितः मुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाता च तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अनेकजन्मसम्प्राप्ता कर्मबन्धविदायिने आत्मज्ञानप्रदानेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नूतनं भावसिन्धुश्च ज्ञापनं सारसम्पदः गुरुपादोरकं सम्यक् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। न गुरोराधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोराधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानं परं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मनता श्रीजगन्नाथ मातुरु श्रीजगद्गुरु ममात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुरादिरनादिष्टा गुरुपरमदेवतं गुरुपरतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्याद्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्याद्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। ॐ हरि ओं गुरुदेव हरि ओं गुरुदेव हरि ओं Gurudeva Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Gurudeva Hari
Om Hari Om, Hari Om, Gurudeva Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Gurudeva
Om Hari Om, Hari Om, Gurudeva Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Gurudeva Hari
Om Hari Om, Hari Om, Gurudeva Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Gurudeva Hari Om.
Sri Vishwananda Gurudeva.
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 Hari Narayana Vasudeva. Premavatara Sri Vishwananda.
Hari Narayana Vasudeva. Premavatara Sri Vishwananda.
Premavatara Sri Vishwananda. Hari Narayana Vasudeva.
Premavatara Sri Vishwananda. Hari Narayana Vasudeva.
Hari Narayana Vasudeva. Premavatara Sri Vishwananda.
Hari Narayana Vasudeva. Premavatara Sri Vishwananda.
O Premavatara Sri Vishwananda. Hari Narayana Vasudeva.
Premavatara Sri Vishwananda. Hari Narayana Vasudeva.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Gurudeva Hari Om. Om Avatar Shishaya Namah, Om Vishamaya Namah, Om Devakari Samyataya Namah, Om Sukshmatanave Namah, Om Chinmayaya Namah, Om Guru Murtaye Namah, Om Sundaraya Namah, Om Sulochanaya Namah, Om Sumukaya Namah, Om Charvasaya Namah, Om Keshavaya Namah, Om Padmabhujaya Namah, Om Mandagamanaya Namah, Om Charmbardharine Namah, Om Ramaya Namah, Om Mandira Sapakaya Namah, Om Shri Bhutabhrteshwarnath Namah, Om Gayatri Ajvane Namah, Om Arpana Svikarakaya Namah, Om Vishnu Pujakaya Namah, Om Namo Narayana Iti Matropasakaya Namah, Om Svaramayaya Namah, Om Madhurakantaya Namah, Om Krishna Sankirtana Lopaya Namah, Om Stotrapriyaya Namah, Om Itabashine Namah, Om Bhagmine Namah, Om Chitrakala Visharadaya Namah, Om Rathadaraya Namah, Om Sadhave Namah, Om Jagarpantaya Namah, Om Sarvalokahitaya Namah, Om Bhakta Priyaya Namah, Om Surdaya Namah, Om Anukulaya Namah, Om Neyaya Namah, Om Sudarshanaya Namah, Om Bhakta Vatsalaya Namah, Om Premamurtaye Namah, Om Shubhekshanaya Namah, Om Pritivardhanaya Namah, Om Sastidayakaya Namah, Om Tarakaya Namah, Om Anugrahaya Namah, Om Vardhanaya Namah, Om Architaya Namah, Om Artaya Namah, Om Siddhipradaya Namah, Om Janardhanaya Namah, Om Manoharaya Namah, Om Akshaya Namah, Om Siddheshwaraya Namah, Om Bhasmamuchitaya Namah, Om Atmalingaya Namah, Om Lingakshana Prosakaya Namah, Om Siddhisadanaya Namah, Om Madhavaya Namah, Om Omkarapasakaya Namah, Om Sukshmaya Namah, Om Nishokaya Namah, Om Satvikaya Namah, Om Samadarshine Namah, Om Dakshaya Namah, Om Achintyaya Namah, Om Nirankaraya Namah, Om Nirmohaya Namah, Om Avyagraya Namah, Om Jitakrodaya Namah, Om Vinayashilaya Namah, Om Svavashaya Namah,
Om Kushalaya Namaha, Om Shamaya Namaha, Om Satyadharmaya Namaha, Om Nirvikalpaya Namaha, Om Viraktaya Namaha, Om Atindraya Namaha, Om Satyasandhaya Namaha, Om Pavitraya Namaha, Om Madhurasvabhavaya Namaha, Om Suranandaya Namaha, Om Nandanaya Namaha, Om Prasanatmane Namaha, Om Bhaktanidaye Namaha, Om Sakshaye Namaha, Om Samatmaye Namaha, Om Sadayogine Namaha, Om Haraye Namaha, Om Sutapaya Namaha, Om Saumyaya Namaha, Om Guyaya Namaha, Om Vimuktatmaya Namaha, Om Gabiraya Namaha, Om Guptaya Namaha, Om Atmaramaya Namaha, Om Srinivasaya Namaha, Om Devaya Namaha, Om Dutidaraya Namaha, Om Danyaya Namaha, Om Gurave Namaha, Om Duratikramaya Namaha, Om Gahanaya Namaha, Om Bhagavate Namaha, Om Harisharana Margadarshakaya Namaha, Om Kudasa Jagartakaya Namaha, Om Aviprayaya Namaha, Om Sarvamata Samadhyaya Namaha, Om Shamaikatavardakaya Namaha, Om Premavatar Sri Vishwananda Swami Namaha. Ato Deva Avantu No Yato Vishnu Vichakrame Prithivira Sapta Dhamabhi Idam Vishnu Vichakrame Tredani Nade Padam Samudamasya Pagum Sure Trini Pada Vichakrame Vishnu Gopa Adabhyaha Tato Dharmani Dharayane Vishnu Karmani Pashyata Yato Vritani Paspase Indrasya Yujasakaha Tad Vishnu Paramam Padagum Sada Pashyanti Suraya Vive Vachakshuratatam Tad Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagru Bhagum Sasamindate Vishnu Yad Paramam Padam. Premavataraya Vidmaye Sadgurudevaya Dhimai Tanno Vishwananda Prachodayat. Om Premavataraya Vidmaye Sadgurudevaya Dhimai Tanno Vishwananda Prachodayat. Om Premavataraya Vidmaye Sadgurudevaya Dhimai Tanno Vishwananda Prachodayat. Suryakriti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Bhuvasva Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhuvasva Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yona Prachodayat. Shri Krishna Vishnu Madhusudana Ketapare Narayanachuta Trivikrama Chakrapane Vidyadri Sarjadhara Sridhara Vasudeva Gopala Krishna Haraye Tava Suprabhata Shri Rukminisha Bhavanasa Hare Murare Radesha Gopasha Surupa Brahmadi Vandya Sri Dvarakashaya Vaikunta Pate Bhuvane Kamurte Gopala Deva Haraye Tava Suprabhata Vinay Kuteka Matarupa Rahamurte Devi Kramaya Bhuvane Bhuva Rama Rama Shri Rama Krishna Yadunandana Kalki Rupa Gopala Krishna Haraye Tava Suprabhata Govinda Madhava Mukunda Parataresha Damodaranya Dharananda Kadari Shori Gopa Gopi Jana Samvrita Dina Bando Gopi Jana Priya Hare Tava Suprabhata Shri Radhi Shai Bhujagadi Patal Pashai Sarvata Sarana Shai Ramanga Shai Shri Gopa Vama Mrudutal Pasukali Shai Gopa Vallabha Hare Tava Suprabhata Shri Kashyapatri Sukanarada Gautamari Kamarshi Sangha Mani Sangha Bhavaratesho Tishtanti Deva Tava Darshana Bhagyayeto Gopala Shekhara Hare Tava Suprabhatam Mandara Dali Tulasi Dala Malikanyai Malyani Anjali Pute Samudaharanti Tishtanti Katvavata Dara Tale Munira Radha Manohara Hare Tava Suprabhatam Vedatrayam Patati Gautama Kana Guya Gayanti Sadguna Gano Varada Savarga Sankirtayanti Tava Nama Kada Vishesha Shri Naradani Rishaya Tava Suprabhatam Govardhano Dharana Gopati Shora Gopa Gopi Janamrita Sudesha Bhavati Pota Shri Lokya Mohana Sumangala Divya Deha Shri Rukminisha Varada Tava Suprabhatam Shri Vatsajina Sharanagata Parijata Bhaktati Vanjana Kripakara Dina Bando Dityanta Gayati Jana Priya Divya Rupa Shri Nanda Gopatanaya Tava Suprabhatam Padmaksha Padma Mukha Padma Dhara Prameya Padmalaya Sahita Padma Nivasa Shori Padmo Bhavati Surasevita Pada Padma Padmadinata Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Vrindatare Viharanaya Mahindra Vandya Kandarpadarpa Haratinya Sudesha Rupa Chandrananaya Sida Chandana Lipna Deva Govinda Yadava Hare Tava Suprabhatam Shri Nandanandana Yashoda Kumara Tira Mayanga Dina Danchona Pushpahara Nilambuda Sucharira Rama Vihara Gopala Deva Hare Tava Suprabhatam Shri Vaishijam Bhavati Satya Sudanti Padra Shri Mitra Vindra Nivasa Prabhu Purnika Jaye Tishtanti Divya Bhavameta Vasevanarvam Gopi Mana Priyare Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Achyutananda Mukunda Shori Radha Manohara Janardana Chakrapane Namani Divya Munayurna Nishambadanti Rami Muhurta Samaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Suprabhatam Ye Patanti Anisham Bhuri Kritam Mahapapaham Shri Krishna Grahetu
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Chintamani prakara satmazukalpa vriksha Laksha vriteshu surabhira vipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra shata sambrama sevyamanam Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Venum kvabandamaravindradaraya taksham Paravatam samapitam buddha sundarangam Kandalpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobha Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Alola chandra kalazadvana malyavamshi Ratnangadam pranayakeli kalavilasam Shamam trivangalalitam niyata prakasham Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Angani yasya sakalindriya vrittimanti Pashanti bhakti kadayanti shiram jaganti Ananda chinmaya sajujjvala vigrasya Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Advaitamarchutamanadimanantarupam Adyam purana purusham navayovanancha Vedeshu durlabhamadurlamamatma bhaktao Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Bhaktastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo Vayo ratapi manaso muni pungavana Sopyasti yat prapadasinya vichintya tattve Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Ekopya saura jayatum jagadanda koti Yachaktirasti jagadanda chayayadanta Bandantarasta paramani chayantarasta Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yadbhava bhavita diyo manujastateva Samprapya rupa mahima sanayana purshaha Sutteyameva nigama pravitastu bhakti Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratipavitavis Taviya eva nijarupataya kalavis Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuto Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Premanjanachurita bhakti vilojanena Santasadeva hridayeshu vilokayanti Yam shama sundaram achintya gunasvarupam Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Ramadimurti shukalani yamena tishtan Nanavataram bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna svayam samabhavat paramapumanyo Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanta koti Kotishvashesha vasudhani vibhuti pita Tatra manishkalamanantamashesha bhuta Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Maya iyasya jagadanda shatani supe Tregunyatatvishaya veda vitayamana
फलं स्मरतामुपेत्य लीलायितेन भुवनानि जयातजस्रा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमां भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमां भजामि गोलोकनं निजलं नितले च तस्य देवी महेश हरिनाम सुतेषु तेषु ते ते प्रभावनिचया विचश्चयेन गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
श्रीरं प्रलयसाधनशक्तिरेका जये मयस्य भुवनानि विभर्ति दुर्गम् इच्छानुरूपमपि यस्य स चेष्टते स गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि क्षीरं यथादधिविकारविशेषयोगात् सञ्जायते नैतदाप्रित अस्ति एतो यशम्भुतम् अविततत्रमुपेति कार्यात् गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
दीपाक्षिरेव इदशन्तरमाभ्युपेत्य दीपायते विवृतहेतु समानधर्मम् यस्तद्विरेव इद विष्णुतया विभक्ति गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यत्कारणार्णवचरे भजति मयोगा निब्रह्मनन्दजगदन्यसरोमकूपा आधारशक्तिमवलम्ब्य परं समूर्तिं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
यस्यैकनिष्वसितकालमतावलम्ब्य जीवं किलोमविलजगनन्दनकः विष्णुर्महं सैरयस्य कलाविशेषो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि पासान्यताश्मसकलेषु निजेषु तेजः प्रियं यत्र कथयत्यपि तत्त्व अत्र ब्रह्माय एष जगदण्डविधानकर्ता गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यत्पादपालवयुगं विनिगाय कुम्भं वन्दे प्रणामसमये सगणाधिराजः विघ्नं विहन्तुमलमस्य जगत्त्रयस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अग्निर्मही गगनमम्बुमरुद्दिशाश्च तालस्ततस्ममनसीति जगत्त्रयाणि यस्मद्भवन्ति विभवन्ति विशन्ति यं च गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
यज्ञसुरेशसवितं सकलाञ्जनं राजसमस्तसुरमूर्तिरचेचते च यस्यव्ययं प्रमतिसंवृतकालचक्रो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि धर्मोत्तपापनिशयाश्रितयस्तपंसि ब्रह्मादिकीटपतगावदयश्च शिवः यद्दत्तमन्त्रविभवा प्रकटा प्रभावा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
यस्मिन्द्रगोपमतविन्द्रमहो स्वकर्म
Sanchintyatasya sadishinthamuna purete Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Om Shanti
Bhutnajo Varinantariksham Mahitva Upaste Te Devati Tignimannada Mannadhyayadade Ayango Vishnirakramirasanam Mataram Punaha Pidaram Chaprayat Subaha Trigum Saddha Bavirajati Vapatam Gaya Shishaye Pradyasya Vahatyubihi Asya Prananapananyajasya Radirochana Vyakyan Mahishasuvaha Yadva Prataparubapamanyunayadavajya Sukarpamagne Dattavapunastoti Payamasi Yate Manyuparoptasya Pritivi Manunadvase Aditya Vishvedatteva Vasamasya Samaparanna Manojyotir Dishatam Nacham Vichannam Yajnagam Samimam Datatu Brihaspatistanutamimam No Vishve Devaya Madayanta Devi Devi Vasandara Syat Vasudha Devi Vasavi Brahmavajya Sappidanagam Shotam Chakshur Manaha Devi Hiranyagarbhini Devi Prasubari Sadame Satyayane Sina Sadadravati Savitri Ano Devi Mayangi Mahodarani Mahogatishra Shenge Shenge Yajne Yajne Vibhishani Indrapatni Vyapini Surasaririha Vayumati Jalashayani Shriyam Dharaja Satyando Parimedini Shoparidadam Parigaya Vishnupatni Mahi Devi Madhavi Madhavapriya Lakshmini Priyasaki Devi Namamachyata Vallabha Tanudaraye Vidmahe Sarvasatye Cha Dhimahi Tanno Dhara Prachodayat Om Shanti 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 Neelam Devi Gam Sharanamaham Prapadye Trinahi Tridhavati Savitaradipatyai Tayasvatiram Tirashano Asto Druvadisha Vishnupatnyagora Sishana Sahasoya Manota Brihaspati'r Matarishvota Vayus Sandubhana Vata Abhino Grananto Vishkambo Divodharana Prithivya Sishana Jagato Vishnupatni Mahadevesha Vidmahe Vishnupatne Cha Dhimahi Tanno Neela Prachodayat Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Gurudev. Good morning. Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 16, Verse 8. Nakaschin mriyate tavat yavat astahi hantakaha etadartam hi bhagavan ahuta paramarshibhihi ahundrale kopiyeta haririlamrita vachaha. As long as death, personified, Yamaraj, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. The great sages have invited the controller of death, Yamaraj, who is the representative of the Lord. Living beings who are under his grip should take advantage by hearing the deathless nectar in form of this narration of the Bhagavatam, praising the Lord. So this is from the first canto. In the first canto, you obviously get an introduction to the story, or the stories intertwined in the Bhagavatam, which in short is about King Parikshit having to die within 1 week. We all have to die within 1 week, maybe some days more, maybe some days less, but essentially we all have to die in 1 week. And the story of death is very relevant to all of us, because as I always like to say, is the only fact that we know. You don't know anything else. We can believe other things, we can have faith in other people, in the Guru, but what do you know? Let's say by inference, because you see around what's happening, is that all of us, at some point, we also have to meet death. So, in terms of risk management, that will be a very safe bet to base our lives upon that knowledge, that we have to die. Because it's not negative at all, and as the verse here says, let's say when all the sages are invited to listen to this grand discourse of the Bhagavatam, they say even Yamaraj, death personified, he was invited to sit and be among the sages listening to this great, great nectarine book. Yeah, it's called Nectar. It's called actually the book incarnation, the literary incarnation of God himself. And Guruji is saying something similar when he says, once you become a Vaishnava, let's say truly by your qualities, once you become a Vaishnava, becoming the servant of the Lord, then you're living in a different set of rules. Whereas before, let's say, there have to be a lot of signs on the road, a lot of constraints, a lot of compliance on your way, because you haven't understood the main principle yet, which is to love and serve. So like this, the law of death, the law of karma, all of these things, they would have a much, much tighter grip on us, rather than when you have understood and put into practice the essence of life. And the essence of life, as Guruji says, is just love. But just love doesn't stay inside, but it would come outside as service. No? Not as service in terms of, oh, I have to do this, but in terms of actually, I want to do this. Yeah? And this is what Guruji looks at. And this is what's being looked at when it is decided whether you are still in the old set of rules, being firmly under the grip of Yamaraj, and Chitragupta, who is, let's say, the assistant to him, who's like a very, very pedantic accountant, taking care of every penny plus and minus that you have committed in all your lives. And who wants to live under such a rule? I was working in the accounting department for many years, and my face became more and more somber. So obviously, at some point, we all want to live in a grander scheme, and that is just love. The problem is we don't know what is love. Maybe the other problem is you don't know who you are. So we can try to identify with the soul, and we can try to fake love until we make it. But then even with making love, there's a big misunderstanding in this world. Yeah. So who is daring enough to start that journey of self-discovery? It's the spiritual people. And today I want to talk about why spiritual people are being perceived as so eccentric, right? I don't want to say crazy, because I believe that the people who don't want to become spiritual, who don't want to become vegetarian, who don't want to take a look inside, that ultimately they are more crazy, because the risk is much higher on that side. My family always used to much attack me when I was the only one at the table not drinking alcohol and not eating meat or fish. like a whole container of rubbish and critique was put upon me of how I could dare to do such a thing. And yes, very often I was termed and labeled as crazy, and for sure they had the reasons for other things, because I was not an easy son. But because of that deep, deep desire to actually discover what is the purpose of life, obviously I would hit some limits within that space, and there was a great friction created, and at some point you are being labeled as crazy. But anyway, I don't want to say it's crazy. I want to say, and I want to maybe go a little bit deeper and explain to why spiritual people are being labeled as eccentric. Yeah, because for sure we are. Eccentric, that's okay. And even when we have that very famous computer company, which has a fruit as its logo, where somebody took a bite out, then they have their story also of how the crazy ones actually do change the world. Now, I don't want to say that us being the eccentric people, we do change the world, but for sure we are all being in control of changing our world. Because looking at, let's say, a little bit more how the Vedic worldview is, there's not only one world, there's not only one objective reality, but many, many things, many, many paths and times are happening parallel to each other. So you might want to decide that from now on you want to do something differently. And suddenly you feel a shift in the environment and you say, oh, well, it's possible. The environment is suddenly reflecting it, how plastic everything is. Or you have the other person who decides today that I don't want to change and that it should stay that way how I am, and then it will continue that way. But both possibilities are coexisting at the same time in the same space. And it will even look to that person. You see, everything fits together, you know. It fits perfectly today. I decided I don't want to change. And it's just going seamlessly, smoothly. Yeah, because that reality, then it will keep that reality. Whereas the other one wants to change. In a very effortless way, it will switch to another timeline, to another possibility in this universe. And then you would seamlessly go through that route. It's like one connecting flight was cancelled, but you take an even better one. There was no big disturbance involved. So that's why it looks everything is a one objective reality, but it's not. It's multiple, infinitely multiple possibility, all woven into one happening. You know? So why are spiritual people labeled as eccentric? I think the first argument that I would like to put forth is we are interested in love. Most of us, if not all of us, we have already lived through so many situations and grievances and ups and downs in our multitude of lives that at some point we are sick of it. We don't need to read it in a book that life is suffering. We don't need to have some wise neighbor telling us that actually it's worth to go for this world. It's worth to try to become successful in all these things. They don't really stick to us anymore because we have tasted and something bigger, and we have started to believe that actually love exists, but maybe we are not correctly right upon like what it is. But we believe in love. And this is almost like a soccer fan who completely worships their team. You become irrational about it. You go to the quote-unquote temple on a Sunday. You watch the Deity championship, quote-unquote. That becomes your religion. I once had a guy living in my apartment block, and he was behaving exactly like this. He said, on Sunday I'll go to the temple. And I say, maybe you want to join our bhajan group. He said, no. And he said it actually so honestly, it was sweet. He said, I already have found my religion. And I mean, a lot of people who go into the newest Apple store, probably they also have found their path of religion, right? And that's the thing. We are interested in true love. So true love is what we call in Bhakti Marga causing a core transformation. Because you can always say, I'm interested in love, and yet if you look inside the person, they are not really interested in love. How does that play out? So it plays out in what you talk about and how you act, right? And obviously when you look how the person acts, this is how you see how the person actually is. So if somebody talks about, I want to attain God, I want to realize how I am, I want to find that possibility of ecstasy and potential to truly love and master lives, I want to find that inside of me. And then the person runs away when there's a bird chirping on the corner. It's like, no, that's very scary now, you know, and then they're out the door. Or you have other people who might not talk about it that much, but they persist. They keep on being sincerely interested. They don't run away if there is no glamour anymore. So this is also something, let's say you have a temple or an ashram inaugurated by Guruji in Bhakti Marga, and of course the glamour is there when he is there. The video team is there. His jewelry is there. His Rolex is there. The glamour is there. Guruji is not these outside glamour things, but he is actually able to love, and that love is that attractor. That attractor attracts a lot of things. And that attractor attracts, of course, also people that like to live in that limelight. No? So that's why the glamour is there. When the glamour moves out of the house, then what to do? And then the question is, are you interested in realizing that love? So spiritual people, of course, go on that journey, and it's actually crazy because it doesn't make sense in this world. You know, Christ, he preached love, and what love does is, as long as you are uncommitted and as long as you speak about it, and as long as people have other religions than love, they have consumerism as love, they have greed or lust as their religions, then it's all fine. Don't touch these topics. We all stay as we are good as we are, but don't come and don't touch me with true love. As long as that won't happen, we are friends, right? Why? Because if there is a person being sincerely interested in making even progress in love, then what does that evoke in the other one? It evokes fear. People didn't kill Jesus out of fear, but of course it was his own decision to be killed, but people killed him out of that they had fear of him, not hatred. And when you see somebody who's able to love, then that touches upon your own deficiency of, I should also love like that person. I also carry inside of me that potential to love the same way. And then look what you are making out of this. And that is, of course, a very tough thing to see when it is being, let's say, when everything around us is God. When everything is God, God brings it right to your doorstep. He knocks on the door, you open the door, and there you see, oh, this is the opportunity of this life that I have to take. I have to stop the fanciness. I have to stop the vanity. I have to start in some way changing myself and love. And that person is doing it. And I'm afraid to do it myself. How do I react? I don't want to show my fear. I will hate. I will become arrogant. I will be suppressive. So that is what has always happened. This is maybe what is always going to happen, because that is somehow the law of the game, that at some point we have to overcome the fear. And the fear take many aspects of how are you being perceived. You are crazy people. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to be a vegetarian. Yeah? Or why are you worshipping that lion man? Like nobody knows if he's really God. Many things are being pulled off in order to express that fear, in order to, I seal myself up out from that possibility of I also have to love. Yeah, and the ratio is very often that maybe less than 1% of the planet, they're aiming for true love. And then the other one, you stay in the fear, and it's very easy to label the other ones as crazy. But when you die, that is all what's being asked of you. How much and where did you see the opportunities to love? I mean, not to have sex with the other people, but to love. Yeah, that means the quality of mastering, coping with life. How much did you see that I was there, God was there, and that I gave you opportunity to learn that essential quality. To not freak out, but to love. So that is being asked when we die. And those people that are being labeled as eccentric and they have worked their way during the lifetime to actually go into that love, then I think at that point they might have a little bit better position than the ones who never cared about it. And then that's what I say, the supportive argument goes that actually in the end that they would be crazy. You know, like I was driving with my father in the car. He's a very nice person actually. But there was one thing, like he was fighting me for this vegetarianism, you know, and I was explaining him, like, look what's happening in these industries. This is not even a meat industry anymore. This is mafia, like being the worst of how it could be, not only to the animals, but also to the people working in that industry. And yet he never listened. And yet he was so much fighting me, I would say out of fear, because if he would become a vegetarian, obviously he would have to become a different person as well. And he didn't want that. So he was always fighting me for that vegetarianism idea. I didn't even propagate it so much. I was just sitting at the table and not eating the meat. And he was very happy. Now then I can have 2 steaks, you know, because my son is not eating. And then we were driving the car, and when we were looking, there was a herd of sheep. And I was very happy, like I always like to see animals, kind of, hello. I'm also like seeing the cows, hello. And then he would always say, oh, what a nice steak is standing in the nature. Yeah, so this is a different mindset. And when we come back to this, what I said in the beginning, when you want to be in the mindset and the rule set of Yamaraj, and this is where you choose to live. And the other ones, when you open yourself up to love, the potential, how it would be, how you could radiate in your own love, then, of course, then you're making a step, and then you shift to the Vaishnava set of rules towards saying, it's okay, we'll find a way. Just surrender to me, sarvadharmam parityajya, mamekam sharanam vraja. Whatever are the rules, let's go through them. I'll guide you to the top. Yeah. Yeah. So spiritual people, those that are truly spiritual, they are labeled as eccentric because they're evoking fear in the other people, because it is always maybe a fearful thing to change. It is a fearful thing, as Guruji has just said in this discourse as well, it is a fearful thing to actually dive and go into that flame of love. And spiritual people, they're at least trying to. You know? So that's the first point, why people like us, maybe they're labeled as eccentric. The second thing is the behavior of spiritual people, because the behavior or the compass is normally pointing towards change. I would say that spiritual people, when I look in my own track record, that we are more open and more willing, more plastic in a way to change. Yeah, that we are open to you move into such an environment here where you become a monk. Not because I want to necessarily live in that complete lifestyle. You know, it has its sacrifices, obviously. And it's not an easy lifestyle. But why did I do it? It's because a grander idea is really convincing me to do it. Say, when I go through this, then obviously you open more of these mysteries inside of you. You clarify more of these mysteries inside of you. You will learn more than when you just would tread a normal path. And I don't mean so much like you become brahmachari or normal devotee, it doesn't really matter. But to just go into this lifestyle of putting on these clothes, worshipping, getting to know these amazing deities, starting to identify with this timeless culture that Guruji has brought through Bhakti Marga, all of these things, it's not something that most of the world outside would say, yep, that's it. There is the, let's say, the traditional Hindu aspect to it, that those who already know a little bit about Hinduism, they will say, yes, that is it. But that does not include the eccentric aspect of 100% focus and prioritization of God. That is something that is a very big thing, because suddenly you don't put yourself first, but you would put God first. First, you and your grandness and your perfection, you have been sitting on your own throne, on your story. And then suddenly a spiritual person, number 2, I would say, is open to actually make that seat free and say, God, I was unjustly sitting on that throne. Please, would you sit there and guide me? And then you put God first. And that is the, I would say, the tendency and the behavior of spiritual people, that they are willing to do that. Whereas a non-spiritual person continues with their story. There is a nice stake standing in the nature. I'm the king of my world. I know what's right. I want to at least live that delusion until I die. And then, at the very last point, I have to see that actually God exists and I'm just a small particle. And that is the behavior of spiritual people. And of course, that is also evoking fear in some people. It is evoking that hatred also. It is a clash of cultures when spiritual people, they're able to surrender in a way. And they say, God is everything and God does everything. And let me go into a position of truth of me being a small part of that love. And I have to do what I have to do in my life. And that is very detrimental to what you hear nowadays, is that you have to become great. When you will be great in 10 years, then you will be happy. I mean, referring to point 1, we're all so sick of hearing that. I mean, who is still believing that? I think we're all sick at some point. I'm now talking, let's say, to all the world. Yeah, we are sick of hearing that. Let's say in 10 years you'll be happy when you will be great. Because Guruji says you don't have to be great. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be yourself. And that is what spiritual people, they are open to. And we are trying, with the help of Guruji, to be ourselves and not to be great and not to be whatever in 10 years, but actually would have to be ourselves today. So it is cutting out that dream world that people entertain. And the dream world, it is like a big plaster over the problems of a lot of people. It is like an opium. It is like alcoholism. When you don't want to look at your inner deficiencies of how things really are in your daily life, then let's put a nice story of I am great over it, and then you can survive for another 10 years. So the general behavior of spiritual people is, let's open and let's pull away that plaster that I've put over my problematic life, and let's look at what's there. It will heal out by God's mercy. Yeah, so it is a very daring and is a courageous behavior to actually look at these things. And of course you will look clumsy. Of course you cannot always look elegant and masterful. No, you look very challenged and clumsy very often on this path. But what you get is the real deal. You get a lot of more healing and truth. Third point, why spiritual people are being labeled as eccentric. So first point was they have this openness and the deepness for love, evoking fear in the other part. Then the behavior is more geared towards change, and to look what's really there and to accept themselves how they are, rather than dwell in the illusion of I will be and I am great, although you're not. It's a big step to do that. Now the third point would be, kind of spiritual people are outcasts. And I don't mean the mainstream spirituality of let's not touch the real sensitive points of how we must change, but it's more like those that are not necessarily mainstream, where you say, actually, we really have to change. Because maybe we haven't changed, yeah? And that's also something where in the mainstream, more and more, it is being propagated that is a system that is taking care of us, but it's not. Actually, it's not caring about people at all. It's looking easy, but looking under, it can be very problematic. It's destroying young people because they're just addicted to their phone. They don't learn how to be themselves, how to communicate, how to talk, how to respond, how to be creative, and many more things. So it's a system that looks easy, but is very hostile in a way. It is a system that is saying, you'll be great, we'll take care of you, but actually it is also problematic because we feel that it's maybe not really regenerating people, but more and more degenerating people. I mean, just look at how vegetarianism would absolutely make sense to us, to the animals, to the climate, if you will. But no, let's continue with it. You know? Let's hold up that image. So spiritual people, they say, okay, I'm open actually to go a little bit off the mainstream, and I want to inquire into what other possibilities are there, what other image I could have for myself. What do we take as an image? We take the lotus feet of Lord Krishna or of the Master. No? And like this, you become a little bit an outcast because the mainstream won't understand that, you know. And it's always the rule, let's say, if the majority, let's say the downside of democracy, is when the majority is in favor of something, then the minority has nothing to say, you know, because it's all about the majority. It's all about the quantity. It's not necessarily about the quality of how it is. And when you, on top of that, see that those people that are off the mainstream, they are, yes, eccentric, and maybe, yes, a little bit crazy, then it all fits together, because they should not be they should have no say in anything, because anyway they are crazy. Yeah, but why are they crazy? Why are they eccentric? You see, spiritual people, they're looking at the samskaras. So when you are experiencing this life, and then I will close the satsang, but what you are experiencing this life is all the old samskaras get activated. So it is possible to continue in this life, leading your life with all these samskaras, the old tendencies, the old problems from previous life, to have them not being activated. And you live with a slate clean. You might have an accident here, you might have a disease there, you might have a breakup of a relationship there, but it's not the same level as if all the samskaras of past life would be added on top of that to cope with. And that is what spiritual people are dealing with. And of course, they look a little bit different in that context, because first of all, we could easily say, no, I don't believe in multiple lives. Good. And then, let's say we would even believe in multiple lives, but it doesn't mean that what you have still to solve from previous lives, many previous lives, that would play into this incarnation. But that's exactly what's happening. And that's why we're experiencing, let's say, our spiritual path as much more challenging, because there's so awesome scars that get activated. And then, of course, let's say you walk around with a little bit more challenged face than the people who keep their samskaras inactive. So it is the grace of the Master that deactivates these old samskaras. It is the reason for why we behave as we behave. It is the reason for why we choose a cultural context that makes sense and will guide you to what we call the ultimate love, which is Vaikuntha or Lord Krishna, however you want to name it. And like this, we are being perceived maybe in the way that we are. And I just wanted to explain a little bit of why that is so. Because it's not just a a fancy. It is not just a fashion because we are like this, because there are these deeply rooted reasons that actually are because people, they want to look a little bit more deeper. Jai Gurudev.
Here Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatindraya Karunhakaraya Mangala Mangala Me Yatindraya Karunhakaraya Mangala Mangala Me Prabhati Dharmikaradaya Mangala Mangala Me Prabhati Dharmikaradaya Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Saligrama Pratisthitaya Mangala Mangala Me Saligrama Pratisthitaya Mangala Mangala Me Tridandadharine Godagrajaya Mangala Mangala Me Tridandadharine Godagrajaya Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Range Sake Karerataya Mangala Mangala Me Range Sake Karerataya Mangala Mangala Me Mananataya Dharine Dharaya Mangala Mangala Me Mananataya Dharine Dharaya Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata Jaya Jaya Lakshmi Mata Tumako Nishadina Sevata Tumako Nishadina Sevata Hara Vishnu Vidata Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata Kumara Brahmani Tumai Jagamata Meya Tumai Jagamata Surya Chandrama Javata Surya Chandrama Javata Narada Rishigata Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata Durga Rupani Ranjani Dukha Sampati Data Meya Sukha Sampati Data Jo koi tumko javata Jo koi tumko javata Siddhi Siddhi Dana Pata Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata Tuma Patala Nivasini Tumai Shubhadata Meya Tumai Shubhadata Karma Prabhava Prakashini Karma Prabhava Prakashini Bhavani Nikitrata Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata Visagaramento Marati Sabasa Gunahata Meya Sabasa Gunahata Sabasa Bhava Ojata Sabasa Bhava Ojata Mananai Gabarata Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata Shuma Vinayajna Naote Vastrana Koi Bata Meya Vastrana Koi Bata Kana Kana Vai Baba Kana Kana Vai Baba Sabasuma Seyata Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata Shubha Guna Mandira Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mahadeva Deva Govinda Asato Ma Sagamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Prince Bolo Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhagavan Ki Jai Sri Bhutabhrteshwarnath Mandir Bhagavan Ki Jai Radha Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai Mahavatar Kiya Baba Ji Ki Jai Sri Ramanujacharya Ki Jai Prince Bolo Sadguru Deva Shri Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Shri Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Paraya Paramapurushaya Parakarma Mantraya Tantra Ushadaya Sasrani Samraya Samrami Grod Mochaya Mochaya Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasudarshanaya Vidite Jala Paritaya Sarvadi Shabana Om Bhat Parasmaye Parabrahmane Paramjyotishe Swaha Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Jai Jai Shri Radhe